All right, hey there, Mr. Mark. I am gonna um, I'm gonna try and show you how I do my final edge work, or at least get it started and get it going. Um, Man, I got this camera like in my lap, but I think it's gonna work. Hopefully, it's not in the way. I'll probably end up bumping it a couple times, so apologies if I do. And yeah, I'm gonna end up posting this. I'm just gonna put this on my YouTube video because it'll probably be a little too long just to send to you. So anybody else, if you're watching this on YouTube, welcome. So first things first, I'm gonna show you, I'm gonna do a little drawing sketch here as we get into this, kind of set you up for what I'm gonna be talking about, because you know I'm on my phone, the camera's not gonna be great, and it'll probably be kind of hard to see the edge of this when I'm talking about it. So also I got a shadow here, so hang on, I'm gonna pause for a second and get resituated. Okay, I'm back. Hopefully that's a little bit better. So what I'm gonna be doing here, if you can see the edge right now, and for the most part, you have kind of peaks and valleys along the edge. Okay. And I'm a bit out of practice. Ideally, what you'd end up with when you're to this point ready to do the final edge work is an edge pattern that kind of looks like this. Okay. That'd be real good. This is looking down at the edge like that. Mine's not perfect, and I had to go back in a few places and do some touch up and pop off a few flakes. So the flake scars are pretty good, but the edge pattern's a little irregular. But regardless, it doesn't really matter. What I'm gonna do when I start working this edge is, so let's say this is the bottom of the point, okay? The base is right here. I'll flip this video around. Hopefully it's the right way for everybody. As I'm looking at the camera right now, it's upside down. But so that's this section, this area right here, looking that way, okay? That's the base looking that way. What I'll do is I'll find a thin spot in here, and I'm gonna take the edge off, okay? I'm gonna knock a chip out somewhere around here on the bottom. And what it's going to then look like is that, and I'll show you what I mean, okay? That's going to be my starting point. So again, it's going to look like kind of like that, looking downwards at the edge right in here. So let me just pop a flake off, and I'll show you. And I usually look for just like the thinnest spot, and I'm pretty, like as far as the narrowness of the edge, right in here, it's pretty narrow. So I'll probably come right, I'm gonna go right in here. Okay, and I'm just gonna come, let me zoom in for you a little bit. Okay, I'm gonna come right in here, and I'm just gonna set it in one of these valleys. So you got peaks and valleys, I'm gonna set it right in the valley. Pretty sharp tip on my pressure flaker, and I'm just gonna pop a flake off, okay? So, all right, I pop this flake off right here, and so now I've got that, and that's my starting point, okay? So I'm gonna then flip it over, and I'm going to zigzag. And if you don't know what a zigzag is, or how to do a zigzag edge work, you need to learn that. That's really important for working square edges. And it doesn't matter how thick the edge is. It could be a 3/4 inch wide square edge on a big piece of chert. If you know how to zigzag, you can take that off without leaving a bunch of hinges and making a mess for yourself. Okay, so I started here. The zigzag, you flip it back and forth, work side to side, and you create a zigzag pattern, okay? So my next move, and by the way, when I flake this one, I'll exaggerate it. When I started this, okay, I went that way. Again, I'm exaggerating, so my force was that way towards the tip. When I flip it over, my force is going to be this way, like more like that, towards the tip. I keep going towards the tip, okay? I'm exaggerating. It's not going to be that severe towards the tip, but so let me go back to this picture real quick, okay? So what I have right now that I've taken that first flake off, this is my edge right here. I'm going to use my flaker tool, my pressure flaker, and I'm going to pop this edge right here off, okay? So my tool is going to push that way, and then my edge is going to look like essentially it's going to look like that. And then I'm going to flip it over again, and my tool is going to push this way, and I'm just going to color, I'm going to shade in to represent where the flake is removed. So then that's my next step. It's going to look like this, and then the next one I'll flip it over, I'll push the tool that way. And so recognize that with the little tail end, that's the next one. And then I'm going to flip it, my tool is going to go that way, and it's going to take this off. Okay, I'm leaving these platforms here. My next one's going to go that way, and it's going to take that off, then that way. Okay, you seeing the pattern here? That's the zigzag. It's going to take that off. I'm going to do that all the way down the edge. Okay, so let me just do some, and I will show you what that looks like. So, first flake's been removed. Okay, there's that tail. Apologies, my camera keeps wanting to flip back and forth between the lenses. There's my tail, okay? All right, do some edge work. I'm not grinding or abrading on this. You really don't need to, okay? There's my tail, and I'm always going towards the edge, or excuse me, the tip. Hang on, I'm gonna file my, bear with me. I'm backwards now because I turned my chair around. Tip's a little bit sharper than I want it. So, and when I sharpen my tools, no matter how small the diameter of the tip is, like my actual point, I like to give them a rounded edge, or excuse me, just a rounded tip. So what I'll do is I'll use my file, and I'll just, real gently, I'll just lay the file on there. I'm not pushing into it. I'm just letting it rest on the tip, and I'll go forward and then I'll roll it, okay, to give it a rounded, beveled tip. Just a little bit. That's just going to take that point down and give it more of a radius, but I still want a pretty sharp point, relatively speaking. Let's see if I can zoom in on this. Yeah. There you go. All right, where was I? So I just took that one off. I'm gonna go back and flip. And getting your hand position and everything right on this stage is really important. Figure out where's the most comfortable for you to get that opposite angle, because now you're going in an unnatural direction to go towards the tip, because my tip's pointing back to the right and I'm right-handed, so I'm used to putting force this way. Now what I'm doing is I'm doing a left-handed pressure, a left-handed movement with my right hand. And like I said, I'm out of practice, so it's a little awkward, but I go back and forth all the way down. And I'm just creating a new little tail each time. And that edge profile is getting sharper. And this is just a zigzag technique. And again, you can apply this zigzag technique to any form or style of knapping when you're working percussion, direct percussion, indirect percussion, if you're doing slabs, if you're doing abo style, it really doesn't matter. It's a really important technique because you can take any square edge off, no matter how thick it is, no matter how big the billets are you're using, you can take those square edges off. So let me zoom in, and now you can see the zigzag on that edge. Okay, and this will be my first pass all the way around. That's going to narrow my edge and give me a sharp edge. And then you can come back again and you can clean this up with some real light pressure flaking. And then maybe a little abrading to clean up some of these smaller little platforms and get everything centered and lined up just the way you want. But again, right now I'm really not doing any abrasion. I'm just popping. Let's see, where was I? Don't forget to flip it. Holding that zigzag pattern, that back and forth is important. If you forget which way you're going and you do it twice in the same direction, you can kind of create a little spot there that it's going to look off. So pay attention to what you're doing. If you have to stop and restart. All the way down to the tip. And be real careful when you're on the tip. These things will break off. The thing about working slabs in particular, but even with any point that you've made, whether you're doing it from a slab or not, recognize the difference between support beneath the piece, like holding it like this, and support from lateral movement on the piece. Learn the difference between those two and understand when to use them. When you're doing slab work, especially if you're using a pad with a notch in it, your tendency is to grab the piece and squeeze it against the pad to hold it, right? To clamp down on it. What you can end up doing is snapping the piece, especially when you start working on the tip. When you're down in here on the tip and it's real narrow right here and you don't have any support under it because you're notched pad, if you push in with these fingers to clamp down on it, you'll put downward pressure on that and you'll break it right in half. So the support you need is for lateral movement, right? This way across the pad, right? And really all you do, I'll use a couple fingers and I'll just hold it against the pad. I'm just bracing it. I'm not squeezing it, no pressure at all. But you'll notice usually my middle finger here I put beneath the edge, and that's the one that's really supporting the piece from movement. It's keeping the piece from going that way. These fingers are just barely resting on it, keeping gravity from doing its thing and letting this fall off of the pad. But the fingers that are really opposing the pressure that I'm putting on it with my tool is this one right here. And I'm just keeping it from moving that way while I put pressure on it. That's going to help keep you from breaking pieces in half or breaking the tips off, which is even worse. See right there, I actually, look at that. That wasn't so much from support, that was just me not paying attention. I was pushing inward too much, like that way, and I popped a big flake off of the tip. But that's okay, I can clean that up with edge work and everything when I'm done. I'll lose a little bit of length off of this. And it may not even be that bad once I do the edge work on this side. Over here, yapping. This is real delicate work, especially when you get towards the tip. All right, I'm gonna switch over. You could just go all the way around. I'm gonna start on this corner, do the same thing. And then I'll come back and I'll do the base last. See right here, I have a little bit of decent edge work from the last flake run where I've got some good wave pattern. Like the peaks and valleys are opposing. They don't line up, so you have like a wave. Anyways, all right, let me find my starting point. Again, I'm just looking for the thinnest spot between those peaks and valleys. There we go. That's all it took. All right. Kind of like that initial chip work that you do along the edge to set up your platforms for your flake runs. That's all I need. Now I can get in there and I can run that edge. This video's probably got a lot of blurry. Apologies. I need to mess with my camera settings so it's not automatically changing focus in these conditions. Probably has something to do with my lighting. All right. Back and forth. Back and forth. That crisp pop. That's what you want. Not a crunch. A crisp pop. And I'm putting the tip of this, and it's getting worn. It's kind of getting mushed out, but I'm putting it on the edge, not above the edge. I'm putting it right on the actual edge, right here in this valley, but a little bit towards the tip upslope of this dish right here, this flake. I was really never into doing slabs when I first started. Just really wanted to do things, even though I was using modern tools, I had it in my head, like I still kind of do. I mostly enjoy doing like direct percussion with billets and pressure flaking from raw stone, spalls and things like that. But I finally decided to do some slab knapping and quickly realized how valuable the technique is for any napper, because it really teaches you how to get good at pressure flaking and how to you get really good at controlling the movement and the direction that you're applying pressure and force, and also the power that you're using. It's like playing pool. You don't always just slam the shit out of the cue ball. You have to have finesse, and pressure flaking is really the same way. Depending on where you're at and what you're doing, you really have to have some finesse, and you have to have good control over your tool and how and where you're putting the pressure to control the flakes, how they come off, and how big they are. And also, like, even just the size of the tool. I do most of my pressure flaking with my copper flaker with this size copper tip. If I can get this dang thing to focus. Hang on. Doesn't want to focus, but that size. Today I started playing around with my micro flaker, this thinner one, and I actually really like this on these smaller, like 7/32 to 1/4 inch thick slabs. It just seems to work better in that smaller radius tip. I got a lot better flake patterns with it today on this piece. So basically what I'm saying anyways is you can be as abo and as diehard as you want. If you want to get better, a good way to do that as far as pressure flaking goes is working slabs. Plus it's fun, and you get some good results really quick. So it's a lot of fun to do. I enjoy it. I haven't done it for a couple of months, but I think I busted out about 30 slabs this weekend to get them ready for more practice. So keep you busy, and it's also kind of a good way to get some recovery in from, you know, direct percussion, using billets. Your elbows, your hands, your wrists, your fingers, everything starts hurting and aching, and so you can kind of switch the game up and do slab work, and it gives those muscles and those joints a little bit of a rest, but you can still practice. All right, let's see. So I got both edges now. I'll have to fix that tip still, but pretty good. Decent edge pattern. Flake scars aren't terrible. I think this side's better. Now I'm just going to do the bottom, and then I will notch it, and then I'll fix that tip. But actually I should probably, yeah, I'll fix the tip after I notch it. I know I won't screw anything up doing the bottom. If I make it through notching, then I'll spend my time fixing the tip. If I break it, then I won't have spent as much time working on the tip and it have gone to waste. Bottom's no different, zigzagging back and forth, working down along the edge, setting up those tails and popping them off. See right there, I kind of left, I didn't really leave a tail, I left more of a nub. Okay, right there. So you can just power through it, but you may end up taking too big of a bite, which is what I was trying to do. I'm gonna try something. I'm gonna flip it back over to where it was and see if I can't just take another small flake and set up a better tail. Yeah, there we go. Now that's better set up for this flake removal, and I'll have a better, more uniform edge all the way through there. So just a matter of taking your time, thinking about what you're doing. Don't rush unless you're really good. But even if you're really good, when you rush, you start getting in a hurry, lose focus, and you start trying to force things. And then when you start trying to force things in this world and with most other things, it's when you fuck up. And when you screw up in this world, especially when you're this far along, you can't take it back. And nothing's worse than having a beautiful piece that's going really well and you ruin it towards the end. All right. There we go. So pretty good edge wave all the way through. Burgered it up a little bit right there. Okay, and then this side's not great, but neither am I. All right, so now we're ready to notch it. This piece I want to do a corner notch, and you know what? I made a bunch of punches this weekend because I want to start learning how to do notching with a antler punch. I just don't know where I'm going. I think they're right here. Yep, there's one. there. See, here's my punches I made. I was watching Marty. Shit, sorry, Marty. Forgot his last name. Flint Knapping Tips on YouTube. He is the man. And been working on these Pedernales and Marshall style points, and he is the abo napper. He's really good, and so he uses these antler punches to really good results, and so I decided I'm gonna start trying to harness that power too. Sorry, I know the video's jacked. All right, making you watch me fuddle around in here. Okay, so I want to do corner notch on this one. Jesus. Oh. We're okay. That's the second time I've dropped it since I started this video. You didn't see the first one. And I'm going to use probably this one. That's my smallest punch I have. Let's see if I can do this and not just totally tank this thing right off the bat. Try and get this in a better spot. Probably not the time to be trying to learn how to do this on a piece that is almost finished. And I'm not going to try and explain what I'm doing because I don't know. So I'm just taking you along for the ride. Hey, I like that. That worked good. All right, I will explain. I'm going to repeat exactly what he said with no experience. So knock the flake out, and then you take the sides out to widen it up, because you need that flake channel, that bowl, to be wide enough for the tip of your punch. If it's too narrow, your punch, imagine forcing a wedge into that. It ends up pushing out that way, and it'll, you won't like the results, basically. You see Marty do this, he does it a lot faster, but he's pretty well versed in it. Nice. I like that too. That's pretty cool. A lot of guys do punching. I think it's pretty good technique, and I think it's one people have been using for a long, long time. I've tried copper, I've tried mild steel, I've tried antler. I've been doing notching, just pressure flaking style notching with antler tines lately, with really good results, relatively speaking, but good God, it's a lot of work. But I've had the most success with antler. And then I was talking to my buddy, and then we were talking about Marty, and then I watched his stuff, and I said, all right, it's time. It is time. God, that's working really good, man. Definitely see the advantage of this. A lot of control, you know, a lot of control available. Fix something real quick. And actually, you know what? I'm going to go ahead and stop the video because there's no sense in you watching me bumble my way through a new technique that I've never used before. And I showed you the edge work, which is what you and I were talking about anyways, Mark. So anyways, that's it. I'll cut it off there. Hope you learned something from this. And man, again, thanks for being a good customer and just being awesome. Later, buddy.